Hey Sean, thanks for coming. I'm here with Sean Littman, the founder and CEO of GiveSuite.com.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me. It's always fun being on the other end of the microphone for a change. And it's fun when you get to guest on other people's shows, and I'm excited to have you on mine as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to come. So tell us a little bit about your background and how did you get into the nonprofit world
So how far back do you want to go?
as far back as you can?
Oh geez, that's pretty far.
You don't have to tell us the whole story, but just, I don't know, the story of how it began. Okay, when did you know you wanted to be in the nonprofit world? Why do you, what was what was the reason for it?
before I answer the question, what type of audience do you guys generally have? Is it more Jewish? Can I use Jew words? Can I use real words? Like what type of?
I don't know. It's all different kinds. It's all different kinds. It's really all
Okay.
different kinds.
Okay, so then I'll
Yeah.
answer the question. So my entire like how I got into the nonprofit world is a very interesting story because my entire life I've always had a passion and a how we say in Jewish a chush for giving. I always liked to give. I always wanted to be a giver. I always wanted to be helping people, and I was always helping people. Like I'd give you the shirt off my back so you can go out there and have a shirt on you, and I found that it was something that I was really good at. I was found that I like connecting people, I like helping people, and I like having zero expectation for anything in return. So I had been doing this for a long time inadvertently, and then I got into marketing by default because my background is in sales and business development. I've worked for several different things, built several different things, done a lot of sales, had a lot of fun, and I got into marketing by default because I worked for a guy who sucked at what he did in the marketing world, which is pretty much 90% of most marketers. And I was like, this. There's no transparency here. There's no, you're telling me to sell your marketing services, but you're not telling me what you're doing. And so after leaving that job, I was like, I could do better. And so I learned, I kind of figured out how to do different things, how to blend sales and marketing together, and how that they actually have to go together. Otherwise, you are not going to do anything right. And I was running my agency. I had several iterations of my agency. We were doing a lot of for-profit stuff. And then at one point, we were trying to figure out, everyone's doing the same thing, lead generation, Facebook ads, Google, everyone's doing the same stuff and trying to compete with everybody else. And I stumbled upon Google for nonprofits and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I was like, let's learn more. Tell me more. And we discovered the whole Google for Nonprofit program, which is the Google Ad Grant, the $10,000 in search credits, so 120,000 a year in Google search credits. It was super overlooked by Google, and nobody knew how to run it. Everyone knew how to get it, but nobody knew how to run it. And it's actually funny. I was on a call last night. We were talking with one of our new agency partners. We were talking about this and dispelling the rumors and the myths of Google grants. Anywho, so we're like, this is cool. So we started building a whole agency around Google Grants. And the whole key was doing what everybody else wasn't doing, actually being the answer to the problem people were searching for on the internet. And instead of trying to create campaigns about give me money, donate to my organization, because I always say nobody's on the internet is looking for your organization to give you money. It's just not happening. I hate to break it to you. So we got into this. And so from there, we started dealing with nonprofits on like full scale campaigns, top down, branding, messaging, all the paid advertisement, everything all in one. And I was starting to get really, clients come on, we start getting into, we're working with your different tech stack, and everyone hates their tech stack, and everything sucked, and nothing talked to each other. And the biggest peeve was when I was running fundraising campaigns for people, because people used to hire us to do a lot of their campaigns, and these platforms would not let me track the purchase values, which in English means, you're paying me a lot of money to make you a lot of money, so let me show you how much money it costs to make you get you those donations. And it caused me a lot of frustration. And I said, this is not right. This is a nonprofit world. Where people are trying to actually create money and donations and help themselves, enhance their organizations. And we're trying to, price gouge them and do all sorts of stupid things with them. So I said that was stupid, and this is why we ended up building GiveSuite. But again, to be how I got into the nonprofit world, all by default, and the fact that I like helping people, and it's still what we do today. Like our entire philosophy inside GiveSuite is let's help you. We won't take the training wheels off the bike till you're ready to ride. We want to actually see you using our product because we want you to actually be growing your organization and scaling your organization as opposed to being quashed by fees and hidden fees and all sorts of other stupid things.
I kind of got the sense because when we were speaking yesterday, it was like before I was even like asking you, you were like helping me with like marketing and this and that. And I'm like, you're like the call starter was like, I got 5 minutes, then 15 minutes in the call, you're helping me. And you're like, hey, do you want to talk more about this later? And I'm whoa, like you just really love, like, I get it. Like you love to give to people, like, and like you weren't asking for anything. It was just, yeah.
No, because when I said this yesterday on a call with somebody. There's a famous quote from Rabbi Akiva Tatz, that if you're in this world to give, it's absolutely amazing. If you're in this world to take, it's absolute hell. And you see this with people. You want to get people who are givers, people who want to help and just connect people and do things for people and be part of that. They're happy, they're excited, they're like living life. You're a life coach, you get it. You see, you're a marriage coach, you get it. Like, you see the people who are genuinely want to give and give and give and care, like they're much happier. And the people who are just trying to, it's all about me, like you're miserable. Like, what do so in the nonprofit world, everyone's trying to be passionate, everyone's trying to give, and everyone wants to help. And part of what I do is we come in and we kind of ground you a little bit, pat you on the head, and be like, settle down, you're excited, we're excited, let's make sure you're running this like a business and help you out and get everything right, so that way you can save all that energy to go out there and save the whales.
Yeah, there's a story with a guy who goes to his rabbi and he starts talking about everything in his life that's falling apart, like this and that and the other. The rabbi turns to him and says, you've spoken a lot about what you want done for you, but you haven't spoken anything about what's needed of you.
Yeah,
And the guy
exactly.
fainted.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And this is something that you see a lot with people who are really passionate. The people that I hang out with are all like that. Everyone's genuinely just trying to connect people and just genuinely trying to like create connections for people. Like, I'll tell you, I went to an event last year in Owensboro, Kentucky. It's called the Innovate Summit. And this year it's in Louisville, Kentucky. And this is not a plug for Innovate, even though I loved it. It was great. And it's put on by a friend of mine named Brian Wallace. And Brian is a nice Erlich Yid who is very well connected and likes to help connect people. And the whole goal of the event is to build connections and build relationships. And you go there and no one's trying to sell you anything. The sessions are super interesting, super engaging, and everyone's just trying to connect with each other and see how we can help everybody else. And I came out of that, like, I flew all the way from Israel to Owensboro, Kentucky, like middle of nowhere, bumfluff nowhere. And I met so many cool people and we all just connected with each other. And I was like, I'm going to hook you up with this guy. I'm going to hook you up with this guy. And then the same people are doing the same thing. We're all just, but like, no one's expecting a commission. No one's expecting like anything in return. And it's such a great feeling when you're amongst like-minded people like that.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Amazing. Really incredible. So, so this whole story, so now you have GiveSuite. Tell us a little bit more about what it does and what it's done for the companies that you've worked with.
So part of what GiveSuite does is it deconstructs your entire tech stack, because there's this myth of you have to have a tech stack, even though 95 to 100% of the nonprofit people we deal with have no clue what a tech stack is. And by getting rid of all the excess junk that you don't need and harmonizing everything and bring everything into one space, not only are you making your life easier, you're making your productivity easier. Your productivity is going through the roof because you don't have to click on a million different places. Everything talks to each other and everything syncs, so that way you can just go about running your day. And you have all your stuff scheduled. You have all your stuff that you need done for you inside GiveSuite. Your donor management, your fundraising, your marketing, your finance, your social media, your communication, everything sync together for harmony. And people love this because I go about it through the abundance mindset. Is we're trying to create abundance, we're trying to create wealth, we're trying to create donations, we're trying to create community, building community. And when you go with the abundance mindset, where there's no limits, you're going to go out there and explore that and tweak your creativity and see how much you can do with that, as opposed to other systems that we've seen, played with, and been involved with. Every time you try to grow, you're getting knocked down. Like, oh, that's an upsell. That's an upsell. This is an upsell. Like every, you got to pay more for this. Like everything's a paywall problem. And so when you're dealing with one of the most vulnerable sectors on the market of non-for-profits, who one have no clue about anything, two are always strapped for cash sometimes, and three are trying to just get by day to day, continuously hitting them with more problems, and they already have enough problems. It just ruins it. So we got rid of that, and we're out here helping organizations streamline the way that they do things. And I'll give you an example. One of our users, he's been on with us for the past 3 years. He was like user number three, and they are a psychedelic healing clinic, that is a in Hebrew you say reshet. They're like an umbrella for several other, like hundreds of other clinics that they give money out to and do all disbursements and different things like that. And they, when they before they started using us, there were 5 people, and they went from doing about 18 intake forms a month to about 180, just by creating all these different workflows and processes and automations that sped up the entire thing. And they were able to scale their organization, to scale the amount of partners and people under their umbrella to massive amounts, because they had these workflows working for them. And same thing with some of our other organizations. Like even my COO, she used to be a user of ours, and she loved it so much that she started working with us. The power of creating abundance mindset, the power of giving which everything and keeping it fair and transparent, is a game changer for non-for-profits. And this is what we're doing.
Is this so? Tell us. There's some things that you're talking about that are very interesting that I'd like to expand a little bit on. How is the nonprofit world different than the for-profit world?
There's no difference. And that's a massive misconception. There's literally no difference, because it's all about running your business. If you have the right systems and the right systems for implementation and the right tools, you're just a tax deductible business. And people think, oh, we're a nonprofit, so therefore we're a charity, so everything has to be free for us, and we have to be little, like, oh, boohoo us, we're a charity. No, you put your big boy pants on, run yourself like a business, and grow and scale and bring in the money so that you can help people and take a salary. They think nonprofit people think they can't get paid. That's bullshit. Like you're working a job, you're working for what you're doing, you're growing an organization, you're helping people. It's a different product, but it's the same outcome. Everyone wants money. Everyone's trying to go for money. And so people think on the marketing side, oh, we have to market different because we're a nonprofit. No, you have to focus on communication. You have to focus on continuous communication, building your communities. Same thing like a business, building your fan base, communities and fans, same thing. And the bigger your fan base, the bigger your community, the easier it is for you to get whatever you want out of them. And so there's really no intrinsic difference, just in terms of donations and purchases and products. It's just the value. Donations have infinite amount of value. One person can give $18, another person can give $18,000. You never know what's in someone's wallet and never know what's in someone's head. You just have to know how to communicate with them effectively.
So what would stop a nonprofit from using a tech stack that's a for-profit? Or like, like how does w- I'm just a total layman here. How does Yeah, so how does a nonprofit so what is it? So if a nonprofit goes out into the world to try to solve the solutions that what do they need? Like what are the different things that need to be put together and why do other solutions for for-profit companies not work for a nonprofit?
So first of all, it's all relative to the organization. This is one of the many reasons I don't do demos anymore. I do strategy calls, because everyone's got a different problem. Like you get it, you're a therapist, you're a relationship coach. Everyone's got a different. You're not going to sit down with somebody and say, "Oh, you and your spouse fight. Okay, you need this." No, because why are you fighting? You have to go down into the rabbit hole and go deeper into understanding the intrinsic issues. And so with a nonprofit, you know a lot of for-profit software can work for nonprofits because it does. They give this, but they end up giving these discounts to nonprofits that ultimately hurt them instead of help them. And the biggest thing is you need a database. You need a place to manage your database. You need a place to do all your marketing and communications, and you need a place to track all your money. And all these systems are out there, It's just the familiarity with people. People call something differently. What a nonprofit would call moves management, a sales platform, a sales CRM would call pipelines. Like it's all familiarities. It's all what people are calling it, all familiarities. And so you can use those type of tools, but most people won't touch it because they don't, it's not familiar to them.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So the needs are unique to each nonprofit
Yeah,
of what,
everything
yeah,
is unique. It's just like anything, meaning for us, everything is inside the building, right? You never have to leave the building. It's just a matter of what's considered your biggest problem, and everything else is secondary. So, like for example, someone comes to me and tells me, I have issues, I hate MailChimp, and I'm trying to grow our email list, and every time we grow a contact, we get charged another $50. So I say, okay, great. So welcome to GiveSuite. We have unlimited email marketing capabilities. You can add as many contacts, as many donor records as you want. The more you grow, you don't pay any more, and you can do as many email sends, you can do as many email blasts, whatever you want inside GiveSuite. Oh, and by the way, you can sync it all up to your automations to make your life easier and put these people on a drip campaign, and then continue the conversation, and 100 other things. Cool, sign me up.
got it. Wow. What's been the most significant result you've seen in one of the customers? Like what's been the highlight success story of
Honestly, everybody does their own thing. So, everybody gauges success and wins differently than other people. Like I said, one of our users overclocked the automations and makes his life significantly easier. Another one of our users, she's only using one feature because they're an entire organization based on in-kind donations. And if you know what that means, it's just like they're like the Jewish Salvation Army. They've got a 9,000 square foot warehouse in Lakewood, and they're like the Jewish Salvation Army. So all the clothes, donations, so they've managed to be able to manage all their stuff, all their deliveries, all their drop offs, all the stuff that they're sending out, everything, all their purchases in one place, and all their communication in one place. So everybody has their own wins. You know, some of these rabbis that we don't specifically deal with Jews, but some of these rabbis, some of these Chabad houses that we deal with, they've managed to do a lot more and increase their outreach through GiveSuite.
what's been the result that's been most meaningful to you?
Just people saying how much they really love the platform and how happy they are with it, and the fact that it's like the fact that we're here for them, the customer service and satisfaction, and the experience, like, and everyone says it. That's what makes me happy.
Nice. Very cool. So does it also do warehouse management, if I understand correctly? Like,
You can modify it. You can create like custom objects and do also and with that. And you can also use the pipeline feature to manage your inventories. You can also do product inventories too. Sure.
wow. Wow, that's pretty robust.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I feel like I blew your mind, man.
Yeah. Wow. So what does the future look like with this? What's your plan? Like what do you where do you envision this going?
Where do I envision this going? Sky's the limit. There's loads of nonprofits out there. Everyone hates their current systems. We're just trying to get into the right markets. Part of my whole deal is I do a lot of strategic partnerships and relationship building. As I told you in the beginning, I like building relationships and nurturing relationships. And in the non-scammy, spammy type of way of saying it, I like to get people to do stuff for me. And when you build good relationships with people, these are your salespeople. When you build good customer relations with people, these are your salespeople. So I build a lot of partnerships to focus on the enterprise level side of it. And we're trying to get into as many places we want. I mean, we've had companies who wanted to already buy us, and I said no. Like different nonprofit, one of the large nonprofit software companies reached out to us and basically said, "We're interested in buying you. Can we have a meeting?" I said, "No, we can meet. It'd be great. It's a great experience, but thanks but no thanks. And this is something I find interesting too, is that a lot of people want that and want to be bought out and a lot of people want venture capital money. I think I was telling this to you yesterday, but
Yeah.
it either sinks you or saves you. 90% of the time it sinks you. And this is what, and everyone thinks this is like the greatest thing ever, but like it's fun when these guys come knocking on your door, but it's also fun when you say thanks but no thanks.
Yeah.
It's validating, which then gives you the drive to keep doing better.
Wow. Wow. Outside of GiveSuite, any hobbies? What do you do?
What do I do? I do a
Any
lot.
other projects?
I do a lot of things. I mean, I play guitar. I produce two podcasts I enjoy doing. I learn Torah. I hang out with my kids. Um, and like I said, I just like to help people. Like in whether and my door's always open. So like people reach out to me, I'm happy to talk. I'm always happy to help. And I'm just trying to be the best person I can be every single day.
Wow.
But I do a lot of music. I haven't played. I mean, I have my guitar here that I play around with and have fun with. It's a nice way of like de-stressing and decompressing. But yeah, I mean that's what I do. I like to take walks also because it's nice to get out, especially when it's nice out, and just look around and see everything that's going on around you and taking a breath and taking it all in. And I find just like walking around, stretching your legs, clearing your head, it's real fun. And I walk all around. I'm in Beit Shemesh, so like I'll like take some days I'll just take phone calls and go for a walk, and I'll walk around the entire city.
How many minutes is that?
It all depends on which part I go. I mean, it usually takes me an hour to get from where I am to like another part of town, but I just walk. I just like walk and chill. Like
Yeah.
and it's fun.
I like I mean music and walking also I find to be whenever it's like okay, it's too much stress I can't like those things are just yeah. I don't play, but I listen
Yeah.
and yeah, and just
Oh no, for sure. Like part of my, I mean, I play several different instruments, and I have a very large lexicon of music because back in my heyday, I used to listen to all sorts of stuff, and I have fun listening to stuff. And I find that a lot of the Jewish music nowadays sounds really like Christian rock, and it's hilarious to me. Like all the contemporary, because I'm a musician, like I've heard it all. And like all the contemporary, all like the new Jewish music that they keep popping out like on these different labels, I'm like, man, that just sounds like Christian rock. Like it's okay. You guys can do that. Go for it. But like it's just like, come on.
this has been something that I've been laughing at for a very long time, which is like, like anybody who wants to listen to any kind of music, that's great. But like someone's like, I only want to listen to Jewish music, but then like, oh, did you hear
Eh,
this song? It's amazing. But it's
so
like, yeah,
oh,
like, but it's not Jewish.
so I'll tell you a funny story about that. And one of my previous companies I built was called GoSimcha.com, and it was supposed to be the Jewish version of Wedding Wire and the Knot. I don't know if you're familiar with those two platforms, but they're the largest database sites for event vendors in the world. And we made the Jewish version of it. And one of the things I did is I created a podcast before podcasting in the Jew world was cool. It was called Go Simcha the Podcast. And I interviewed all these famous Jewish singers and musicians. And I had great conversations with them. I had like you think of somebody, I had him on the show, and it was an absolute blast. And my favorite episode was Avram Fried. And Avram Fried, of Reimel, we had this great conversation about Jewish music and how the non how much so nowadays non-Jewish music is permeating the the world. And he said it's not so good, and but it is what it is. This is what people are doing. He's like, he doesn't touch it, but like and I used to actually ask that question. There's two, you'll see on my, when you're on my show, there's two questions I ask. I ask, what's your deal? And then I ask you, what's one piece of advice that you would give to somebody doing X, Y, and Z? And so I used to ask a similar question to these guys. I said, what are your thoughts on non-Jewish music permeating the Jewish space? And everybody had a different answer. And it was very interesting to hear everybody's different answer. And so he gave a great one, but other people were like, yeah, it is what it is, ain't all this like, what are you gonna do? And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, that's been really especially even like especially like more recently. Like sometimes I'm hearing a song and I'm like until there's lyrics, I didn't realize it was. I had no idea it was gonna be like Jewish at all.
Yeah,
Like until I started hearing like it was just, um,
yeah,
w-
no, it's interesting stuff, and a lot of it is the intentions are good. The intentions are good to take something and elevate it. You probably get this because I see your picture in the background. You're to take something and elevating it, from where it is. The intentions are good, but it's still we have to figure out how to really turn it holy.
yeah, yeah. You're talking about the snowboarder sitting underneath the Lubavitch Rebbe.
And that's right. So there you go. You took something mundane, you elevated it with the rabbit picture.
Yeah, yeah. For me, snowboarding is no mundane thing.
That's pretty tight too. I mean, I used to skate. I used to back in the day. I mean, I used to do lots of fun stuff before I became not cool. I used to skate. I used to play hockey. My brother's a skateboarder. We used to do all sorts of fun stuff. I was one time at the skate park, and I'm from Detroit, and we went to the skate park, and I was on my rollerblades. I was doing aggressive skating, and I missed the rail and I broke my butt bone. It was fun.
Oh, ow. I'm in a networking group with her name is Dr. Cindy Goodman. She's a chiropractor in New York City, and her brother was the skateboarder, and the word Ollie was actually made by him and his buddy.
That's
Like
really
they
funny.
like the Ollie actually came from her brother, that name. Um
That's so funny.
yeah, yeah, that was wild. But yeah, getting back to de-stressing for me, like music, walking, exercise, but what I found recently, which is like almost incredible, like it's really, really, really powerful, is the combination of music and breath work at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like, I mean, I sit
It's
and I do breathing every day. I block off like every day at 2 o'clock, like my calendar's blocked off. I do breathing, whether it's for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on what's going on in my head. But I try to and then even in the mornings, I try to do breathing because it's breathing in, breathing out, and really getting your mind right.
yeah, yeah, that's just it's gotten me into just such every time it's a little bit of a different experience, but it's been very, very, very like really a place of quiet, really a nice place of quiet. Um, very cool. Very cool. So I'm trying to think one time I remember on the topic of giving, I want to get back to that.
Sure.
There was I think yesterday someone was talking, I don't know, I saw a video yesterday and it was also like, just because you're having a hard time doesn't mean you can't do something for someone else. And like when I saw that, like the words that came to my mind was like that is the antidote for depression right there.
Yeah.
Like
No,
that it's just
no, it makes
that
sense.
yeah. Like there's there's so much that and what's interesting, I would say even from my perspective, like in helping people and seeing them and what they're struggling with, like I have seen many times where like people complain about what they're not getting, but it's like the thing that they're not getting out of life, they're also like I could see like they're not giving it in life either.
Yeah, and but I mean, this is like with anything in business. It's all about you want to give, you want to keep giving, you want to be able to actually retain your customers. And one of the biggest pitfalls I've seen in SaaS companies is that everyone's great. They want to just sign on. And this is why I don't, you see all these people posting on LinkedIn, oh, we did $1 million in monthly recurring revenue, or we did blah, blah, blah. Like, nobody gives a crap. Like nobody cares because there's fake numbers. And how much of that is churn? Because most of these SaaS companies, they like to post their numbers, they like to build in public, they like to talk about all the fun shtick that they're doing. But most of these companies have so much churn because they're just like, let's sign these people up, sign people up. But nobody cares. There's no aftercare. There's no like, how are we going to actually get you to use our product and keep you retained and keep you doing it without, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves. And it's like you have to give to your customers. You have to create that community. You have to create that fan base. And one of the basics is big biggest examples that I love to use about creating fans is the Savannah Bananas. I don't know if you're familiar with the Savannah Bananas. They are like the coolest thing that's ever turned into baseball, and their whole story is wild. And their mantra is called "Fans First." Everything's about the fans, and everything is for the fans, by the fans, about the fans. And this is why they sell out. When they go on to these tours, these banana ball tours, they sell out football NFL stadiums. They sell out MLB stadiums. They sell, because it's all about the fans. They have such a cult following and a fan base. That finally, like after 20 years, this guy built it. It took off because he kept giving to the fans. And when you build your community, I'm actually doing a whole presentation about this tomorrow to a giant group of nonprofits, how to build communities and make fans. Because when you have fans and you're giving to them and you're educating them, you're showing them how to use your product, you're showing them how to leverage the tools that they're paying for, they're going to love it because it's all about the experience. People want to have a great experience. People want to know that you care about them. People want to know that you're there for them, just caring, sharing, loving, and supporting. And those four principles can be flipped into anything. And this is where people drop the ball. And this is where I find this with all these software companies, all these businesses. Like no one, people just want the money, and then they don't want to do the next steps. But if you're doing caring, sharing, loving, and supporting, you're going to create a massive fan base. You're going to scale your companies. You're going to scale your organization. People are going to love you, and you're not going to have to do much.
Yeah, this has been something that I've seen a lot of even in my industry with like, the effort to sign people up, but then the retention isn't there. I mean, all the concepts really link together in terms of giving, in terms of relationship building, but I've seen a lot of it, and I think that a lot of people are just not patient enough because it's a long game.
Yeah,
Like, when you're playing the transactional game, you're just trying to sign people up. The results are pretty immediate. But over time, you end up burning out because you're realizing, wow, you're just like churning through people and you're churning
yeah,
through markets, and it's not,
yeah.
that isn't sustainable.
Dude, I've been doing
Um,
this for 3 years. We've been growing this for 3 years, and we're finally starting to crack like the entire market. Like you understand? Like people think it's like, oh, like just let's get hundreds of people signed up. No, you have to understand your market. You have to understand the people you're dealing with. You have to understand the sales cycles. You have to understand who's paying the bill, and then it is a long game. There's no such thing as quick wins.
yeah, like I think there is such things, but they later become big disappointments.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Because then you're like, oh, this is great, but then you don't you're if you're not prepared to accept like what we've been doing right now, we've been future proofing the hell out of this whole thing because we're working with a lot of partners and everyone's starting to bring people in, like the floodgates are starting to open, please God. And like I'm starting to see this, so we're like, all right, let's take a step back for like 2 days and future proof the hell out of this thing so that when we're able to get all these people that are projected to come into us based on what we're seeing with our partners, there's not going to be any problems because you only get one chance to make a first impression. One of my favorite clients used to say that to me all the time. He would always say, you only get one chance to make a first impression,
Yeah,
and if you screw it up, then that's it.
yeah. You ever like have you ever get a first impression of someone that wasn't good, but then afterwards they seem kind of nice, and then you started working with them, and then you realized over time that, should have gone with that first impression.
Yes and no. I mean, I'm pretty good at reading people, and I'm pretty good at having conversations with people and understanding people. So, this is the wonderful world of business. You make a lot of stupid mistakes and you learn from them, and you take on a lot of stupid clients that didn't make sense because for various reasons, and then you just take it and you learn from the mistakes. So I have had people where yes, kind of that I thought, oh, this is going to be great, and then it turns out to be absolutely nuts. But it's all about the learning. It's like the learning lesson. Smart people learn from mistakes. Stupid people repeat them.
Yeah.
So, I've been doing this for a long time. I've made a lot of mistakes. Oh my, I've made a lot of mistakes, and then but you learn from them. And everything that we're doing with GiveSuite is all things that we've learned from previous companies, previous agency stuff. All these different things that we've, you know, And we've made a lot of mistakes too with GiveSuite. Like I've actually there was one deal that we took on that was so that we thought it was going to be made sense, and it ended up being the absolute dumbest, worst headache that ever happened. But we ended up getting something really cool out of it, and it turned out to be great.
Yeah. I think probably the biggest mistake that I made was um not appreciating what was actually giving me the success that I had.
That makes sense.
So like, when I've had spikes of like breaking through, like I don't think in the moment I recognize what actually created it. Um, and then without realizing it, I started doing other things, and then I saw that success go down. And then I was speaking to a mentor of mine. He's like, "Can you like actually write down for me like w what you did? Like what were the results that were so great and what you did?" And then when I wrote it down, I'm like, "Oh crap, that's why it all that's why everything's like I didn't even realize that's what I did. That made
Well,
that's been one of the biggest lessons that I've had to learn."
well, I mean, it's also the attitude to gratitude. You have to be grateful for every little thing that's here, and once you start being grateful for all the little things, every little thing, every little, you see how everything is connected. You see how God connects everything, and however everything is moving in the background, and it opens up your mind, and then you have this better sense of like awareness of what's going on. A lot of people who aren't grateful and people who like think it's all about me, like they're never happy. They just want more and more. The people who are grateful, you show gratitude to people. It's like giving. You show gratitude for everything you got. Yeah, some days suck. Like I'm sick today, but I got your show I'm recording, and I'm recording another one, and I've got meetings all throughout. Like I was up till midnight last night. It sucks, but I'm grateful that I don't feel as crappy as I did like 3 hours ago. You know?
Just for our listeners, I was willing to give him a pass, but for today and reschedule, but he didn't want to.
Yeah, I don't do that because I find that if you're like, oh, we'll reschedule, and then like it never happens, and the opportunity's missed, and it's like, oh, bummer. So you got to keep going, just got to keep fighting.
You know what? That is a thing, it's like there's something about timing that in relationships that's very interesting. Like it seems like, oh, like we found a time here, we could find a time another time, but like it doesn't quite work that way. Like timing is very, you know,
Timing is yeah. I mean, I I like to move fast. If I meet with somebody and it makes sense, and the deal makes sense, and the relationship makes sense, and I'm like, let's go, let's move fast. People are like, whoa, really? I'm like, yeah, because like, why waste time? Like, you're valuable to me, I'm valuable to you. Let's see how we can work together and blow this thing to the moon. And people are like, oh wow, you really are fast. I'm like, yeah. I was just talking about this last night with we're about to do something really big with our agency, please God. And the people I was meeting with who were about to do that with, we're talking all about it. We're like all the same school of thought. We're like, we move fast. We're not messing around, no BS, no garbage, like tachlis, like let's get it done. And we all move fast, like because we see the value, we see what's going on, we see how things are moving. And why drag your feet?
yeah, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it is. When you come on my show, you'll have a lot of fun because like the conversation just goes fast. It not fast, but like good enough, and like, I'm a ball of energy, and I don't know how I have so much energy right now. I'm just like
I tend to slow conversations down. I like to move fast, but conversations I tend to slow down. You are hard to keep up with, I have to say. It's like I expect the conversation to go down many rabbit holes, and you're just like put to the point. I'm like, wow, like what?
yeah,
How do you go that fast?
focused.
Yeah.
Try to be focused. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. So one of the things I noticed about this idea of giving, that I think to me it's like it's a change in perspective of like where people see energy, how energy works and how energy flows. Because a lot of the times we look to external results of what we're doing or what we're getting, and we like want that external validation or that external success to fill us up inside. And because it does, like, when you close a deal, it feels great. Like when you build a company, it feels great. Like when you get married and when you have kids, like all these things, it feels great. And it creates this like sense of like the stuff that I'm building outside is nourishing me. But then, the rude awakening is that eventually that stops. And if there's nothing inside that you really have to keep on pouring out from, all that stuff starts to go away.
Yeah,
Uh,
no,
so like,
that makes sense.
the challenge I find that in life to do anything, that's why I think that when it comes to like deciding what to do as a business venture or any venture in life, um, it has to come from like an inner conviction of like, this is who I am and this is what I really feel like I should be doing. Because if it doesn't, if it's not coming from inside, then when the external stuff isn't where it needs to be to give you the energy that you need to do it, you can't sustain it.
Well, yeah, and this is why, people who build companies and who are not building in public, so to speak, and doing it very sneakily. We're talking to Jews probably, very very sneakily, and not just. I'm not talking about like wearing your skirt down to the floor when when you're building your company. I'm talking about doing things in quietly. Like no one needs to know your business, and you see that energy is big. And when you know what you're doing, when you're doing something because you're actually trying to solve a real problem and not just do what everybody else is doing and become a vibe coder and create some sort of chat GPT wrap for something, and like try to get millions of people to invest in your product, like you're doing something good. This is the biggest problem nowadays, is that all these people out there are trying to make the next unicorn, and everyone want but and everyone's following the same stupid playbook of like do this, this, and this, and blah blah blah. But like the real ones are building behind the curtain, and doing something that's actually solving a problem that people have. But nobody really wants to actually solve the problems. People just want to make the money.
Yeah. Yeah,
Fun. Yeah, it's fun stuff.
it is.
Do you see this? I mean, you probably, when you talk to a lot of people, you because I remember you telling me yesterday you're like looking into doing like venture capital and other stuff like that, and I'm sure you get people pitching all sorts of stupid ideas. And I say that with love. I say that with absolute love.
The people that I've met, like the founders that I've met that are looking for help, are like doing things that are like they're interesting. No, these are quiet people that are building something that's like really, really cool. Um, you know, one of the guys that I'm thinking of is someone who like I actually interviewed him on the podcast, I think it's maybe the last one I did, but like, it's a company called Range Teller where basically they, you know, these two guys, like one of them does the business and the sales part, the other one's more like the actual product development, but they realize that, the way banks are evaluating people's credit is very antiquated and they could do it totally differently. Like if you just, you can create a software that would effectively be like a $200,000 salary for an in-house data scientist creating it on his own, and you can just bring this into a bank for like, a tenth of the price or something, I don't know, and just like give it to them as like a way for them to evaluate like which people are creditworthy, which people aren't. And you can give smaller banks the ability to compete against the bigger ones who wouldn't be interested in lending to these people, but they're just as worthy of receiving a loan. So that's a cool idea,
Yeah, no, that is pretty cool.
you know.
Solving
So
real world problems, not just
yeah,
chat GPT.
yeah. So, so that's just, as I meet a lot of people, it's just interesting to kind of see how can I help people, this, that, and the other. But, like I hear people talk about ideas, it's like one day I was hearing someone talk about an idea and I'm like, I don't like, it's hard when you're talking to someone and, they're so excited about it. And it's like, I don't get it.
No,
Am
oh,
I missing something? It's like, but I don't get it.
Oh, I know. One of my biggest pet peeves, and I've been trying to really work on this, is that I have people come to me and talk to me a lot about ideas. And these people, some of these people, like and they say this in the nicest way possible. I feel like they're allergic to working. They just come up with different ideas and they try to ask me my advice on it. And I say it's stupid. And I say it really bluntly. It's really stupid. It's already been done before. Like, figure it out. And it's like, oh. And then, you kind of like kick, they go with their tail back behind their Tokas. And I get this a lot. People tell me their ideas. People want to talk. People like want you try to give me insight, and I'm just like, and I say this with love, but you're like not on the same level. Like, and I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like, your ideas are great, but like implementation, practicality is better. Solve a problem, and then your idea works.
I think that, this is something that a lot of people struggle with, and it's something that I struggled with for years because I think that a lot of people are not giving themselves the ability to start somewhere. For some reason or another, they're not letting themselves get into action, doing something tangible, actually helping people solve problems, for one reason or another. And then you get stuck in your head in idea land, and that doesn't get you anywhere.
Right.
Um, like when I started, I mean, for me, the difference for me was when I started coaching because it was the first time I actually was like, you know what? I don't know how exactly I'm going to make money out of doing this. I don't know how it's going to work, but it's like I know I'm doing something that I'm just naturally good at. So that made it a lot
Right.
easier,
No, for
and
sure.
I think that I think that a lot of people, it's like they don't want to even start walking because something is usually being something is usually being discredited or invalidated that's actually, a decent place to start.
Yeah. No,
That's
that makes
my
sense.
I mean, that's been my observation.
No, that makes sense. But again, like, it's up to, people to give proper advice and help people and push them in the right direction because, I said everyone's got ideas, everyone's got thought, people want to do stuff, but like practicalities and implementation, like people always come to me like, how do you do what you do? I'm like, you don't want my job. You do not want my job. You don't want my responsibilities. I promise you. It's like, really? But you like, no, you don't want my job. I guarantee it. Like, I always say some people are great, go clock in, clock out, get a paycheck, have a great life. Some people are meant to run companies and businesses. It's not for most people. Ideas are great. Try build it, do something in the side if you want to, but like don't if you're not prepared to like go all in and like be and take ownership of something, then it's not for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nobody can do anyone else's life.
Nah.
Nobody. It doesn't. But a lot of
Well,
people are trying to figure out what it actually their life even looks like.
right. Well, you have to do what gives you a geschmack. You have to do what makes you feel like not feel good, but do what gets you and gives you makes you excited. And what you're passionate about, but take that passion, ground it, and turn it into like reality and tachlis.
It really is that simple. But a lot of people are resistant to that idea that like, yeah, you gotta do something that like after you did it, you feel like, oh, that felt good.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's a mindset change. It's a whole mindset change, and people are stuck because people are conditioned to do all sorts of things, and I see this. I when I'm outside and I'm on the street, I observe people and how they behave, and I see how in different societies, like in our society, like Jew society, people are conditioned to just do certain things because that's what they did, even though it doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't make sense. No, I'm not talking about like Torah things. I'm talking about like Narishkeit. Like I'm not talking about like, hukim in Torah. I'm talking about like people behave like you see certain groups of people behave like do similar things because that's how they were raised. And it's the same thing with like people in their business mindset and their working mindset. People are very conditioned into certain things, and it's hard to break out of that cycle. Like I'm actually part of a group that's run by my rabbi. He has a whole program called Work Inspired, and it's a very interesting group, and it's all about teaching how to make parnasa bekavod, and it's been going on for years. And they a lot of these people who are come through that thing are very much, they have such negative feelings about working and money and this, that, and the other, and how, and like it's like, oh, garbage, like why do I have to work? I'd rather be like learning Torah, I'd rather be doing X, Y, and Z. And then you come out with a complete mind shift. It's all about conditioning. People's brains are super conditioned, and you got to do the mind shift. That's what I'm doing with GiveSuite. We're like mind shifting the hell out of people with this, and condition them to get away from what they currently thought they needed to do, and how it's actually more beneficial for you.
So maybe let's spend the last few minutes, and I'm sure in 2 minutes you could probably cover like miles of ground here. But like, what are the mindset shifts that you've seen with the nonprofits that you've worked with that are like kind of the common ones that they have to make in order to be successful?
So first of all, it's abundance, the abundance mindset, going from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset. Most nonprofits are focused on the scarcity mindset because, oh, we're a nonprofit, we don't have any money. How can we afford this? It's so expensive. I'll just go with the free platform. But just because it's free doesn't mean it's good, and nothing's ever free. You want to go with something that's going to grow with you because, God willing, you're trying to grow. You're not trying to screw yourself. So it's the scarcity versus abundance mindset, and we help people shift off of that and into the abundance mindset, because when you have no limits, you can do as you please and feel relieved. The other mindset is, technological difficulties, and not and scared to make a switch because, this is what we've been doing for so long. Now we have to switch and learn something new, but the cost outweighs, sticking around, meaning you could be paying ridiculous amounts of money for all sorts of other tools, and it's not getting you anywhere, and you're spending more money than it's making you. Or you can make the shift, take a step back for a couple of days and learn a new system and get trained on a new system, and then you have, it's like getting a new phone, right? Everyone hates getting a new phone. I hated getting a new phone. I got a new phone last like a couple weeks ago, and it's so annoying because you're like, oh, because everything was like how preset, how you like it. And but you know what, you take a couple days, you take a step back, you get used to it, and then everything, then it's just like it flows. So that type of mindset too, that mind shift of getting out of a crappy situation and going into something better. And the other one is just really adoption. Like the world is changing. You want to continue to grow and scale your organization. You want to continue to build your fan base. You have to adapt to what's going on around you. I'm not talking about, oh, we have to learn AI or else it's going to take over our jobs. No, you have to learn to adapt and see what tools are out there and how it's going to enhance what you're doing, and be a helper, a helping tool, and not an end all be all, and adopt to what's going on around you. And a lot of people don't like adoption because it's scary. Things are scary, and when you're used to something, you don't want to change because you're scared.
Yeah. It sounds like in some ways, would this be the opposite mindsets you'd be dealing with if you were trying to sell a solution to a for-profit company or
Um,
similar?
no, I'll give you an example. My dad, he's a lawyer, been doing it for like 30 something years. And he was using a desktop case management software. And they said, all right, we're migrating, we're no longer servicing the product. We're migrating you off to this to the cloud, and blah, blah, blah. My dad happens to be a little tech savvy. His goal is next year when he retires to come work for us. And he's going to move to Israel and come work for us. He's super excited. But like the whole thing was, I don't want, it's a different system. And he said, like, when they tried to do this with he works independently of the people in his office, but his secretaries are still using bloody typewriters because they don't want to change. Like nobody wants to change. So it doesn't matter what the tool is, it's a matter about the willingness to learn and to adapt. He said his secretaries are still using typewriters. Some of these other attorneys in his office are still using Excel sheets, like, because nobody, these guys are old, they're set in their ways. Nobody wants to change anything. It doesn't make a difference what business you're in, what industry you're in.
What what has been the most effective way of convincing people that it's time to change?
Just having a conversation with them and hearing their frustration, and telling and saying, I see your frustration, I hear you, I feel you, I see you, I understand you, and let's do better. build back better.
Thank you very much, Sean Littman, for coming. It's been a really insightful conversation, and yeah, appreciate it.
Absolutely, my friend. And thank you so much for having me. And I just wanted to say, if you guys, if your listeners want to learn more about me, you can check out some of our YouTube channels, our podcasts. The Nonprofit Academy is our YouTube channel. Beyond the Bottom Lines, our other YouTube channel. You can check out my podcast, Profiting with Nonprofits, as well. It's all over there. You're going to be on our show. It's going to be real fun. And obviously, if you want to learn more about GiveSuite, GiveSuite.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. Real pleasure.